What's up, my people?
Hey.
Welcome to the Restoring the Breach podcast. I'm your host, Greg.
And I'm Cachet.
Where we specialize in unlocking the leader inside of you. Ooh, it's been a long time.
It has been.
Definitely been on hiatus. But we're excited because we're launching a new mini-series called Let's Talk with the Colemans.
Mm-hmm. Let's Talk with the Colemans is exciting to us because this one is more personal. Mm-hmm. It is unscripted. And we go deeper in conversation.
Indeed.
Yeah. Do you feel like we went deeper than we have ever
Absolutely.
gone before?
About everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Even just everyday things.
Yeah.
So sit back.
Relax and enjoy this episode. Like his allergies and stuff. The fan is one thing, but his eyes. But
all right.
Cute. Well, that's cute. They did all kind of stuff. I'm looking at these people who did all this stuff for their 37th anniversary.
37th.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a long time. But it'd be going like this.
Yeah, we only 22 away. We're about to be 22.
If I don't kill you first.
No. I think I'm going to catch a homicide before you do.
Lies. To me? Please. Anyway, we could talk about how today, I guess since our last talk, just what the heck has been going on. So
we finally got that weekend over with. I know that much.
Yeah, that was
that birthday weekend. We've been discussing and preparing for a very long time.
Yeah, we have been, huh?
It is a we. Oh my God!
We've been preparing for.
You almost caught an N-word.
You be helping.
I do help.
You do be helping.
I think the day of the event showed how much I helped.
Because you made food on the grill all day?
I was being a single father at that event.
How was you being a single father? I was doing potty trips for old people.
You were being
sorry, y'all.
You were being Star Transit.
Third wall. Yeah, I was. That was an accident. But
while being Chef Homeboy RD.
You were being Chef Homeboy RD.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I prepare the sides?
You planned
Made
and
the
organized the whole shindig.
Thing.
You did.
I did.
You absolutely did. I'm simply saying my contribution of the day.
How was you a single father when Gregory was a single father? He was the one watching these kids out here.
No, he was the Pied Piper to organize and rally the crew. He was a big help.
He even was pushing Asher around on his bike.
Yeah. I was flipping thighs and blowing bubbles at the same time.
You want a cookie?
No, I'm just saying that I was putting in work. I was
trying
to contribute.
With dudes.
I was trying to help.
You was helping by cooking.
I gotta plead my case before I get that though, because you made the chuckle about we was organizing. That's how we got to this point. Well, we wouldn't be down this road.
Were we organizing together? Was you waking up every day with anxiety attacks?
Well, you made that clear when you posted my picture of me sleeping the day you made the cake to the social media world.
You was snuggled up.
Yeah, but I did say that I would wake up and help.
You did.
I just couldn't control how long my body slept.
You know what controls?
Don't charge that to my heart.
You know what controls my body? How my body sleeps? Oh God, I got stuff to do. Even when I be dead sleep, it's like I have inner angst. This is a true thing. Inner angst when I have stuff be waking me up. Mm-hmm. So even when I want to sleep, my body won't let me. It literally be like, wake up for everything. I woke up for weeks thinking about what I needed to do for the party. It did turn out great.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
All the family around
answered my prayers.
Yep.
There wasn't rain. It was a couple trinkles.
He always comes through. He done held back the weather on so many occasions.
Yeah.
Like literally, we take it like it's a miracle on our behalf, but in our own right it is. You know, we pray that
because I be asking
the forecast be wrong,
and then it do be,
and it happens,
and it does every time.
There may have been a little trinkle of rain,
and when it started to trinkle, I looked at the cloud. I was being funny, but I was being serious too.
Mm-hmm.
It started trinkling a little bit when I was coming to drop off a load to the bathroom, and I said, "Hey, you are not listening."
You told the cloud.
Yeah, I did. And then I said, "God, could you get your weather together?" And that rain stopped, and it did not rain for the rest of the day. I said, "Get your creation together, Lord."
No,
that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real thing. That's probably I probably got extra spiritual, but that's true. That's true. I really did. I have witnesses. It was not. Anyway.
Well, you know, we've exercised and literally saw power of life and death in the tongue, and you know, in terms of like speaking to creation, you know.
Yeah, that's funny.
We ain't out here manifesting like some of the. We believe in God's ability to move on our behalf.
I just.
So that's real talk.
So I'm happy that I was excited about the birthday, and also was happy it came to a close because I thought I was going to be able to rest. But that first day was bananas. I said, "Oh, I'm going to rest on Monday." No.
They were all still on the high, I guess.
They were. I mean, they had all the gifts that they didn't really get to delve. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Delve into. And so they was in here having a blast. But that also brings about only one person got gifts. So everybody's arguing over them. He's being bratty. And then, you know, the old ones are just being the old ones. And so, anyway, that was intense. And the whole day,
yeah,
you like look up and it's 3 o'clock. Honest to goodness.
It also reminds me of how much energy you put into those events.
Oh, my gosh.
Weddings. All that type of stuff, birthday parties, all that prep, going into creating this beautiful moment, and it is a beautiful moment. But what it is out of all those things is a moment.
It is.
You know what I mean? So you want to capture it.
And you come in and there ain't no cereal.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I just went shopping and spent $3 billion on groceries, but that was for the party. And you got to go to the store again. Lord.
Yeah, because ain't nobody going to feed these kids.
Yeah, I can't.
Unless we feed these kids.
I'm just the annoyance of it all. But anyway. So, I'm happy that that's over. And, I don't know. I've had lots of different things on my mind for these past few days. I still think I need to catch up on rest for real. But, what's on your mind? Do you have something you've been thinking about? Like,
I'm always thinking about taking over the world. Just don't know how to do it, you know. But one lesson at a time. But outside of that, I'm still coming off of all this weekend's stuff.
Yeah.
All the planning, all the events, but I told you the day after. In the midst of all the chaos, I feel like God was really allowing me to just soak in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm on the grill with a Cheshire Cat smile, looking around at everybody there, the kids running around.
You were practicing mindfulness. You didn't know it.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
At one point, I laid on my best friend's chest, like, oh. She's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Oh." It's surreal, man. We've been friends for like 25 years or something, and I've been blessed to have like a couple besties. She's my oldest friend though, and so that's why she was like standing around, like, "What do you need? Are you okay? You need help? Anything?" And I was just like, "Girl," because you don't. When you're hosting the party, it's hard sometimes. Like, you have to tell yourself to soak it in. And I feel like I was just going around trying to just make sure everybody was good, make sure nobody was, like, left out. My grandfather, my dad, my sister and her husband, and some of their kids were there, and that was great. And you just want to make sure that you're, like, kind of navigate in the room, especially if there are people who seem kind of like, oh, we're just sitting over here looking at our phones. So you just want to make sure that they want to come back to the party. Are you enjoying yourself? Do you have everything you need? Blah, blah, blah. Then my cousin came, surprised me and brought her mom. That was nice. Mm-hmm. And it was great to see them. I was proud of them being able to taste my cooking because, y'all get it all the time.
Yeah.
But when I go to their events, usually they're the ones cooking.
Well, that's a whole different conversation about the old heads trusting what you do.
Well, I think that I just haven't done it because I've just been in my own world cooking and baking, and they're all like, "Oh, this looks good," and stuff. But there just hasn't been an opportunity to be like, "Hey, why don't you do this?" I think that now that I've been like sharing more about it, that there could be more opportunities. But I don't know. My aunts, they're getting up there, so I don't know like what they are. I think they already kind of like wouldn't be like they with it, like letting us cook and stuff. I don't think that it's.
I don't know. I think at this point, you talking about currently? Currently, I think they'll gladly pass the buck.
Absolutely, that's what I mean. Like
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So. And I've gotten to the place. I've been cooking for years. But I've basically gotten to the place now where I will cook for anybody. Like it's like if I invite you and you're coming, you know what I mean? You still have like a little under nervousness, but it's like a lot of things that I would cook have been like tested and tried over and over again and perfected. So I'm not like, I don't know about greens and macaroni and cheese. Like that stuff is like blinking your eye. That's like making a peanut butter and jelly for me. Yams and macaroni and cheese, like all the basic stuff.
But there's the little caveats with stuff like that I recognize you've pointed out over the years, like trying to be mindful of how some people might like certain things prepared. For instance, like the cowboy beans.
Yeah.
Like you got one side of your family that put the ground meat in.
Both of them
the
did.
beans, or both sides
did
okay.
that.
And then but when you have in a large gathering, you don't know if some people are weird about stuff like that.
Yeah, but as long as there ain't no allergies, I'll cook it the way I feel comfortable cooking it. You know what I mean? Like, I got a couple questions from the younger ones. Like, is there nuts in here? Because,
Yeah.
We got a peanut allergy in the family. And but I already thought about that. Because I normally would have made the funfetti cake and the funfetti side and almond cake, but I already knew. So I do think of that, where my friend was like, girl, you nice, because that's nice of you, because I'd have been like, oh, sorry, because you're going to be having ice cream. But I do think about that. But, like I said, I don't really have, like, unless it's like I know my dad doesn't eat pork and beef. So I think about stuff like that. But generally, if I wanted to, I could do ground turkey and make his beans or whatever. So there really isn't a lot of pressure with that. There really isn't a lot of pressure with that. But it took time to get here. It took a lot of time to get here.
Yeah, it's commonplace to you now.
Yeah.
I just think from a guy's perspective, there's intricate details like that we don't even pay attention to. You just like, what are you gonna bring? What are you gonna have, or whatever? What are you preparing? Not thinking about the allergies that some people might have. Not thinking about sodium issues or stuff like that. If you got a bunch of old people coming, you want to put the salt on the table? Do you want the soda to taste? Now we don't do no unseasoned food anyway.
They come in, then they better get a salad.
Yeah.
And if I ask somebody to make something, it's because I know that they do it good. I'm not, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna be like, could you bring something, and be like how it could be at church, how it used to be like, who could bring this? Like, no, I pick you out. Can you make?
Yeah.
Because I already know.
Because at the end of the day, who they looking at if that food's
like, who
bland?
made this? Who? Yeah, no. I make sure.
They ain't saying such and
You
such
know,
as what's
if
it
I
called
ask
nasty.
people to
They gonna
bring
be
stuff-
at Greg and Cachet's party.
Yeah.
That macaroni and cheese is trash.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You ain't never gonna hear that ever. Okay. So but I'm proud of that, because I think I've realized over the years how much God has really developed. People don't talk about this stuff. When you have a parent or don't have a parent or something like that, and however your childhood was, whether you actually were taught how to cook and stuff like that. Like, I think we talk about it a lot because I just think it was just not thought about. It wasn't thought about. Like, I was, both sides of my family, they could throw down. So I never was anywhere where food was not good at all. Like, it was always.
I think we've touched on that a few
occasions always
the last couple
good.
of recordings.
And so, but I wasn't always around someone saying, "Let me show you." I remember certain occasions where maybe that was a thing. Like, well, this is what I do. But overall, I really learned on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I know my aunts will probably be like, "What?" But it's true because I really was not around in that way.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma, even, who cooked a lot on my dad's side, who cooked all the things. If we were around long enough, she would have us do certain things, or she'd say, "Oh, it's easy." And sometimes I would call her and ask her how to do certain things, but it wasn't like what I'm practicing doing with the kids now. Like, come in here and let me show you how to do this.
Intentionally
come in here
bringing them in
and let me show you how to do that.
Yeah.
Come in here and let me show you what this should look like. If there was nothing like that, and so it's a blessing to be able to do it without having that, because that could have been a disaster. It could have been, I could not be good at it, and just a curiosity of, well, how do you make this? And how do you, and then of course I had my friend who's also like that, which really encouraged me even more to be like that. Like, she'd be like, I gotta learn how to make that. So she would say, I never would think of learning how to make, but now, man, so we be sharing recipes and stuff. She's a beast. So now we be sad because she lives so far away when she makes something. Or we'd be like, she always be like, could you freeze some? Freeze some and send it to me. She used to live up the street, man. We used to be like, just come taste this.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's interesting life. I was thinking about this when you were setting up. How I think a lot of people don't really know what they're supposed to be doing or what they're meant to do until it's in hindsight. I really don't think that people fully be knowing. I think there's this fake thing that, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I wonder how many people who actually felt like they knew when they were young actually are doing what they thought they'd be doing. I just wonder.
Well, I can only speak for myself. I know some folks that had, ever since I was this age, I've always wanted to be this, and I've become it. That wasn't my path.
Are they happy?
Some of them are, absolutely. Some of them are like, I knew when they were a kid, they exemplified those leadership traits, or they were a leader, and now they're the chief of this.
Yeah.
And so I think for some folks, that's the path, and then for others, it isn't. I always wanted to be a lawyer. And
that is so crazy to me.
It didn't go down that road.
Well, you could have, but you didn't want to. You didn't choose that road.
Well, that was my choice all the way up until college. I was sold on it until.
Well, I mean, I know that.
But I'm to parallel what you're saying. That was my tell. My tell was I had my eyes set on a certain thing. High school mock trial team, and and then I get to college and I get one class, which is interesting because, my major was political science, which is kind of like laying the groundwork for going into some form of law.
Yeah.
But I really wasn't doing anything that was focused on law anyway.
Yeah.
And so having that one course that focused on looking at recidivism and helping people who are going through the criminal justice system, and just looking at how you can have more of an impact on a grassroots level, shifted my thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I really want to do stuff to help people.
Yeah.
Even though being an attorney, you can help, but I had a different perspective on wanting to prevent people from getting involved in the criminal justice system. Proactively, rather being an attorney helping reactively.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
But I love law. I still love legal stuff. I love law. Some of my favorite movies, My Cousin Vinny and 12 Angry Men.
Yeah. Even what's the one show we watched not too long? Movie Legally Blonde.
Oh yeah,
Lincoln
Lawyer. Yeah, and Legally Blonde.
Yeah, that was another one. It's like, this is a funny, but it's lawish.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I feel like thinking about how your path can come about a lot of times gives me grace for my kids and what you want to be when you grow up, and like not treating it like it's realistic. Like, okay, you want to be a dance teacher, okay, and it's not necessarily to like throw it away, but to honestly be like, well, we'll see, because we know in life there are things that kind of end up leading you down the path that maybe you didn't think. And sometimes it is exactly that. I grew up, like you said, I always wanted to be a police officer. I was a police officer. And then other times you kind of happen about to end up in certain things. And so it helps me give them grace, and also young adults and stuff when they're just getting out of college. It's like, y'all still babies for real.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want to do. You go to college because it seemed like the right thing to do. A lot of them, and not everybody, but a lot of times, even the most astute don't know what they want to do or be, because you get out of high school and no one's really guiding you anymore. They treat you like you're supposed to know. Like, now I'll say this, my friend said in high school she wanted to be an accountant, and that's the path she took. That's the path she's on now. She is an accountant, going for her CPA, which even that part was kind of something that she didn't, I don't know if she really thought about it. It came about from God showing her something. But she did say in high school she wanted to be an accountant, and she did become an accountant. But I think that what I'm trying to say is I give grace, because you don't even know. Like, let's say I have an inkling, like I like numbers. I want to be an accountant. But then you do it and you're like, well, this is a type of accountant that, like, you come into this path, and in hindsight you kind of see the puzzle pieces, how they came together for it to be that way. It helps me to give grace to them, the young adults in particular, and just be like, it's okay if you don't know.
I think that the really big picture is really understanding what purposeful life is.
Oh, that's
like even identifying what I think. You look at these people who have a clear-cut career path, identify what they want to do. They'll go down that path, and then still identify some level of purpose.
Yeah.
That they find either in that work or outside of that work. You're a doctor, but what you find purposeful is mentoring others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, man, I recognize that my gift is really teaching this. So I had this long career of being a doctor.
Yeah.
But now my passion I'm recognizing is teaching. So now I become a teacher.
Because you can be in this role that you've wanted to be in for all this time, but you're not really happy. I think that the mistake that a lot of us make who are still trying to find our path of what we're going to do, be, how we're positioned, that type of thing. What are we doing in life now? The mistake we can make is we look at other people through the glass or the lens that they're giving us, and we're like, they're a lawyer, they're doing purposeful work, they're successful, and that's what I want to be. And they could be not successful actually at all at home, or they could be miserable on their job. That was stuff we talked about before, because I remember you having you're always kind of evaluating this space, because God is being very strategic. I'm recognizing it, and as much as I despise it in some situations, He's being real strategic about how He's placing you, which comes off to us as like slow, or he doesn't care, which is not really true, or He's forgotten us, which is also not true. And you'll look at someone else who you went to school with or whatever, and you're like, look at what they're doing. They're successful. And that could be true.
You're saying it seems like God is being slow or forgotten.
Yes. That's what I'm talking. And
I was like, "What you looking at? What you talking about? I'm being slow."
I'm talking about finding about how God sometimes brings about your purpose over time.
Yeah.
And how frustrating the process could be
when you compare it to
someone who looks like where you want to be, and you don't even know. Mm-hmm. Like that was something that we talked about before you went to grad school. And you were just like, you were seeing your friends who you went to college with, and and you were just like, they're in grad school, they're graduating from, and all this stuff you were seeing, and you were not really viewing yourself as being purposed. And I was like, well, number one, if you want to go to grad school, go to grad school. Mm-hmm. It was just like the juice conversation, but it's just like a teenager who's just getting out of. Not to call you a teen, but who's just getting out of high school, and you still need guidance or permission at times, someone to say, well, if that's what you want to do, then do it. And also it was like, well, we've also, as soon as you got out of college, we got married. 2 years in-ish, we had a baby, and we started having kids, and we were building our life in that way, and the people you were looking at didn't have a family yet. Mm-hmm. So you were building over here like this while they were building over here like that. Now, who is the one that actually puts it on a scale and says this one is purposed and this one is not?
Yeah.
And that is where we have to learn how to not look at the glass of of what they're showing and say, because I'm not like that, I'm not successful. Even though, and it doesn't mean that they're not, because some people are not happy, some people are, but that's the purpose for them.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we learn not to go, well, he always knew he wanted to be a lawyer, he went to school and became a lawyer, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's what we do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like self-evaluation, but it needs to be healthy. And I think a lot of times humans, we have an issue with healthy self-evaluation. It's just comparison. Well, my kids aren't like that. Well, they got their kids in private school and blah blah blah. Well, they can afford that. Well, they were able to do that. Why couldn't I do that? I mean, I had a dream last year where I was crying. It literally came to pass, the exact dream, where I was looking at a friend on vacation and we weren't able to go with the kids. And I was just upset about our finances and just a bunch of different things. And I was crying, and I ended up in front of a hospital. That part didn't happen, but it was a symbolism. I was trying to figure out what to do, and it turned out that I couldn't do it. And literally the exact thing happened. And I was viewing that as success. I don't know what's going on in their house behind closed doors. They could be great. It could be horrible.
Yeah.
They could be spending and charging and all kind of stuff, and or whatever. Their kids are different ages. Like, there was no comparison at all, really. But it's because my desire is for a certain thing and waiting on God to do certain things that haven't happened, and then trying to figure out what do I need to do? What do I need to do all the time? It could be a struggle. A transparent moment when I was bringing people to the apartment to go to the bathroom, I had to get over it. I felt a little embarrassed because even though we do have a decent apartment, it's still an apartment because we owned a home, a beautiful home, and people saw that beautiful home and knew that we lived there. And everybody doesn't know the full backstory of why we sold our house and why we're here and waiting on God and all of that stuff. And I felt a little embarrassed bringing people to my apartment and not my home, because that's something that I'm waiting on God for.
Yeah.
Again, especially when I know you saw my house before, and now I got an apartment with all these kids. So it's like, this is a cool apartment, but you got 37 children in here. And then at the same time, the kids' bathroom sink needs fixed. We waiting on a plumber for that. It's just, well, you can use that one, but you got to go to our bathroom to wash your hands because, like, it was a really. I just had to act normal, but inside, like, even now, I'm feeling like angst about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to live in an apartment anymore when I've owned a home. But. And now everything is just so different from when we bought our house the first time, and including just in our lives.
A completely different world,
It's a different world, different circumstances.
From our family size,
even our family size. Everything we need is much
of
more.
Living in life,
everything we need
different.
is a billion times more than in our eyes we can see that we can afford. And God keeps speaking promises over us. But it feels like, you know, the Bible talks about the tarry, wait for it, it's not going to tarry. It feel like tarrying, okay? I'm like, Lord, this is tarrying, and these kids is getting bigger and bigger, and you're saying, though it tarry, wait for it.
I told you my wrestle sometimes in this Christian walk as a man, as a husband, as a parent, is grasping that philosophy that God provides a tree for you to make a chair.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're trying to identify this line where you're doing
you've
excessively.
Grasped it. You've grasped it. That's the problem.
No, well, I'm glad it looks that way.
Well,
I feel like there's still the inner angst inside of me sometimes where I feel like I got to do more. Because if I grasped it, then I wouldn't have anxiety about whether or not I'm doing.
Oh no! I'm saying you grasp the whole concept that God gives you a tree so you can build a chair.
Yeah.
So when God's telling you, I don't want you to build a chair, just have faith, and I'm going to build a chair for you. You have grasped fully the concept that I need to make the chair, but when it's an instance where God is not telling you to do that, there's a struggle in there because it's like, well, ain't I supposed to be building this chair? How are we going to have chairs if I don't build it? And God's like, just wait. So that's what I meant by you saying you have grasped it.
You just took my word, took the words out of my mouth. Yep.
You know, I didn't tell you to build a chair yet. Or I'm going to build a chair. I just want you to believe me when I tell you I'm going to do it. And it's hard because in a world that is like grind all the time, when he's not telling you that, in those moments when he's telling you just be obedient when I tell you to do something. But that could be spaced out. Write a book. 2 years later. Do a men's group. 6 months later. Do a podcast. And that's how I'm going to get there. But in the meantime, my children are growing up in real time. They need a house, but that's where space in real time.
That's where accepting, and we talked about this earlier today, our humans struggle with understanding and accepting God's sovereignty. I don't think we really understand what that word means. It means that he doesn't have limitations or restrictions. And he can do what he wants to do when he feels like what he wants to do. But God is so intentional in what he does. We really only understand it in what we've been talking about for a long time, which is hindsight. Like all those slow pieces, that tarrying that we talk about, and then we walk over that threshold and open the door to the new house, and you know, putting a peg down in that new territory, and it's like, now I get that breath of relief, and I can look back over it and be like, God, this is what you were doing all this time.
Yeah. And
only he knows that if he showed us some of those pieces along the way, that we run away. Or we divert or try to speed up or move prematurely.
Overthink it. Yeah. We try to meet the person at the wrong time or something dumb. We try to make it, you know, and that's stuff that is hard to accept.
Yeah, if God said right now, I have a purpose for you to meet Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor. And he's going to sow into your life. You be looking around right now where Warren Buffett going to be. Like I need to get to him.
You be trying to find where he's at.
Where's his headquarters?
Versus allowing God to let it come to pass.
Yep, absolutely.
Trying to figure out where do I need to be.
Yep.
Instead of like I've been talking about with Joseph, he was put places. He didn't even want to be.
Yeah.
But God was really moving the chess pieces to get him to the palace. But there was things that needed to be built in those years because at 17 he probably couldn't have handled what he was supposed to, what his ultimate thing to handle was.
At 30.
At 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, you're just 17, thinking about, like, God told me I'm going to roll over. And you think about it from an immature mindset. And that's the part that can be hard. Like, figuring out how to work it. And the thing is, we look at these people who are successful and they be like, I did this for 20 years before blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, so tomorrow, like, we don't, because we haven't journeyed it with them.
Yeah,
we only see their success, so we don't see the 20 years that they've been working at this same thing.
Nor do we want to accept that could be,
and we don't want that to be us, because 20 years from now,
again, why God don't show us everything.
So you telling me I can't get us on 50?
I got a 5-year process for you. I need you to be patient. For some people, it's like, I got 6 months. And that's like, oh, God, 6 months. I can't endure this for 6 months. I can't live in this place for 6 months. And he's like, I already see the end.
That's how this apartment was. Mm-hmm. We thought we was going to be here a few months. That's why we chose it. We said, oh, they have short-term housing. We got rid of all of our furniture. Everything. We sold our house. We just knew. We've been here for 3 years.
Yeah, yo.
3.
Yeah.
Looking at the difference of the kids from when we first moved in till now.
Yeah.
Is how I really am like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they've absolutely grown up here over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like all the memories that we've captured.
Absolutely.
The Christmases, the birthdays.
Oh, the birthdays.
That's really where it's a telltale, man.
Of course, we got 2020 thrown in there where everybody lost. Mm-hmm. Everybody lost
a whole year of life.
Yeah.
Even though for us, and a whole lot of people, but I know I could talk for us, that was a real growth year for us. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of growth, a lot of intentional living that we preach all the time.
That's how we learned how to balance our dating life, the importance of us. 2020 helped us to balance the importance of us in a way that no other year or no other time has.
Yeah.
That is the time when I fully was able to forgive you for the stuff we went through in the beginning of our marriage. And 2020 brought about some greatness for us. But now, now we get all these compliments about learning how to balance our life and dating and our kids and stuff like that. But it really started there.
Even our communication. And a lot of it, like, the growth came through tragedies. That's the wild part. Like, really? The deaths. Yeah, your mom dying, your grandma passing. Even though, even with your stepdad's passing. Yeah. And all of that, watching you go through those stages of grief, I feel like put us in a position where we had to talk, had to learn how to understand each other more. I had to learn how to be a support system without saying stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Me trying to be a fixer all the time.
Did I say anything?
No, it's just me allowing you to have a space to express yourself.
I learned the beauty in therapy around that time. Me
too, because I got some off of you sharing the stuff.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is dope.
Yep.
Everybody need a good therapist. I'm actually sad I don't have a therapist now, even though.
Well, we need therapy in a good space and a bad space.
Yeah.
Like, you need a therapist to help when the next valley comes.
Yeah.
That's the
I
truth. Like
what Tim Ross said about every couple should have a therapist, even if it's just a temperature check, even when you are in a good space. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I never ever, because the black community in particular, now we all starting to come out, everybody therapy, but before that in the black community, you are not, ain't nobody going to no therapy.
No, mental health is leprosy. Yeah, you ain't talking about, if you talking about you got mental health,
ain't nothing wrong with that, boy.
No, or you just need some hands laid on you and pray over your mind.
Yeah.
And for most part, it was telling you to go get yourself together.
Yeah, but it wasn't that there's actually people literally gifted.
Yeah.
And when I met my therapist for the first time over the phone, because it was during the pandemic, 2020, there was just something so warming about her voice. And and who she was, I was like, man, she clearly got a gift.
You should probably just shoot her text message.
Every so often I'll be thinking about it.
Yeah, she probably really
like, I'm just thinking about you. She was great. She was wonderful.
She was
an amazing human being.
She was a godsend.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Get through so many rocky spaces.
Yep.
And navigating the loss of a parent, because that just knocked the wind. Even with a parent that was sick your whole life, there's just no way to prepare for that. Even when you know. It was the worst thing I ever felt emotionally. The number one. I have like two things that were the worst things I ever felt in my life. That was number one. That was number one. And I needed somebody because I was going crazy. And it was funny because my dad was like, "What do you need a therapist for?" Like he was the epitome of black people. You need to just talk to your pastor. I'm like, no. That is not who I need to talk to. And I was a better person after therapy. I would absolutely advocate for therapy for anybody, because there's just stuff inside you don't always know. You don't even know it's there.
No, and I think that level of expertise and that gifting is important, because some of the strategies that the good ones use are very similar to some of the stuff I've learned in relationship.
Yeah.
Like learning how to give you a space to talk without me trying to fix it, which is something I still work on. But a therapist gives you a space and you do most of the talking. They may probe and kind of guide you along a certain path just to kind of stir up some of those thoughts that you can't formulate. And but other than that, what they're doing is allowing you to get it makes me think about Criminal Minds. Just a quick diversion. The strategy, that tactic that they use on Criminal Minds when they're trying to get people to go into a memory that they can't think of, and they're like, be quiet, close your eyes, and then they're painting a picture for them. Now you're in that space, and you hear the door jar.
I actually wouldn't mind experiencing something like that.
There's a part of there's also an unnerving part of, like, when you're talking about going into a space of trauma. Like if they're, because that's what they use that for. But imagining them taking you down this wormhole. This reminds me of like people doing that drug, ayahuasca or whatever it is.
Well, I tell you what, we did something a little bit like that in therapy. It was a gentle approach, but she was like, this is gonna be hard work.
Minus the psychotic drug.
No, it wasn't. But she had me write a letter to my 14-year-old self. And she was like, we need to talk by the end of the week though, because it was really, she's like, and then she said, if you are having trouble getting through it or whatever, that we could talk anytime. And so I always approach stuff so nonchalant all the time. Like, oh, it ain't going to be that bad. I did my assignment, wrote the letter. And then I started crying when I was reading it.
And rightfully so, because you had a little Criminal Minds moment there.
I did.
That letter was your way of tapping into that trauma. Or that space that you don't normally just sit and think about. Like, who sits back and says, unless somebody's asking you questions about your childhood and you start recollect, man, I ain't think about that way. Like, how many conversations have we had where I'm talking about some of my behaviors? And then it's like, oh, that's why you feel like that's why you don't like hearing no. Because, maybe I didn't have a whole lot of resources at my fingertips as a child. I didn't come from a rich background. So a kind of a defense mechanism for me is I don't ask for stuff. I just instinctively try to figure it out, or if I can't figure it out, I just suffer through it like that. Yeah. I just accept this as my plight in life.
And I think that interestingly enough, it's interesting what God is saying to us now, where He's trying to teach us that even though that was where we are in our life growing up, with whatever arena that is, that He wants to do something different than that. He wants to be a different type of parent to us. And He's not trying to, if I can get into the mind of God even remotely, knock our experiences, but He's trying to, because of the space we're in now, He wants us to know Him as a parent.
Yeah.
In a way that we haven't.
That's been our word.
And so
I want you to see me as dad.
Yeah, and so it's hard when the example of Him as a father is not the same as the example, because this is human versus deity.
Yeah.
Even if you're the best dad in the world, it's still different for God to be like, no, let me be your dad.
Yeah.
Let me be your dad. Even more so, like, that's why I have trouble letting anyone in a mom space. Because my mom, our relationship was different. And so when people want to mother me, either a God mom or a spiritual mother or something like that, I have a difficult time with that because I didn't really have that. I only had a picture of it. It's almost like what I talked about before, when you see like a foster child or a child who's been adopted or something, who still has this longing for their actual mother.
Yeah.
And so they have they're like, my adopted mom was great, my foster mom was great, but I still want to know where I came from. And so there's this like picture of what my mom be like if they never seen her before, if they never, and so I have that. I would see friends and things and then see how their relationship was with their mom, and I imagine what that would be like for me, what that would be like for my kids, to have a grandmother like her, how my mom could have been. And it's hard. It's hard to undo what you know.
Yeah.
It is literally a spiritual work.
Yeah. Because
inside the roots are so deep. And you're like, no, that's just how it is. No, that's just what I like. No, that's just the way it should be. And the truth is, it doesn't always have to be the way it should be. And as therapy and just life and time has tested those things for me, I bring them challenges to you too. And I can see the difficulty because you're like, no, that's what I like. And I'm like, but you don't know.
You already know. This is difficult for me.
Yeah. It's a real
Yep.
It's a real thing, man.
Yeah.
And life is crazy.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of it, and because you don't know how long, and because you don't know what, and because we're still learning the purpose and what we're supposed to be doing, and also how quickly people are here today and gone tomorrow, you're trying to figure out, at least me, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate and enjoy the spaces. Like I see friends with newborns right now.
Yeah.
They hate it. And I get it why newborn phase is rough.
Yeah.
It is rough, especially when you first time around, you ain't getting to sleep. It could be so difficult. But now that my first newborn is 12,
yep,
I'm like, dang, did I hug him enough?
Yep.
And I did. I hugged my baby. I loved on my baby. But it never felt like enough. You know what I mean? I did. For a while, I was like thinking, I was like, no, that's not true. You loved your baby. You loved all your babies. Everybody got. And I was like, you did. But it's just over now.
Yeah.
And that is heavy. Yeah,
Greg doesn't help that narrative either because he is not a very affectionate kid.
He's not affectionate.
Like, did I hug you at all, boy?
But then there's Judah, who he reaffirms to me that it can be a personality trait, because I know for a fact that I'd be forcing Judah to hug me.
Yeah.
He's just not touchy.
Yeah, him being a baby, he gets a whole lot of love
from everybody.
Even the kids is picking him up and
from
him.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But he's still not touchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he giggles and stuff, but he's like, don't hug me.
Yeah.
Like, my sister picked him up at the party, and he's like, he's all bent over, and she's like, oh, don't be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's hugging him. He's laughing.
Yeah.
But his little back is still arched away. I'm like, girl,
mm-hmm.
he is not a touchy baby at all. But then we have Micah and Asher who are. And then Juliana who is too, for real.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also so independent that you have to remember that. Because she's so, like, the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I have to not be as difficult. It's a challenge. I'm trying to work with balance. Because I don't, with her. Because I don't want to take away that firmness that she has as far as, like, the boss in her.
Mm-hmm.
I have to try not to take that away from her. Because I want her to be who she's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a characteristic about her that's just a part of who she is. We know that is something that's going to be an intricate piece of her leadership in life.
Yeah, she's a boss, yo.
Even her organization.
She is.
You know, how organized her behind is, how she plans and is thoughtful. She's a mini you.
That is
planning for her baby dolls, and whenever it's time for them to go over, you know, my mom's house, if we're going away, she's already preparing. I didn't pack my baby stuff in her bag. I got my toys ready. I know what outfits I want to wear.
And what outfits the baby want to wear.
Yep. Man, these boys.
Like, I gotta do her hair.
You can't get them to put their shoes on when it's time to go.
Man, we trying to leave. Y'all want to leave, and you ain't got shoes on.
Yep.
Man, whole different ball game.
Yeah, we could be a pretty trifling species.
And I had
males.
I had to get over feeling like the desire to have another girl, that I neglect the one that I do have. That was a challenge.
Mm.
You know, because me wanting that other girl was because I believed that God had said that to me. I believed He promised that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it didn't happen, I spent time being angry about him, about it all. Loved my babies that I had, but also had such a deep longing for another little girl. And I had to say, you do have one.
Well, your statement, it like popped out. I could visually see it when you say I spent time being angry. Spent time is the thing that just blew up in front of me. Mm-hmm. Like it's costly.
Yeah,
it really is. You spent time. What investment do you get in that? Where we want to spend it to create stuff and to get something in return. But if you waste it, you don't get those memories back. Those kids grow up and they're gone. I had a conversation with, my dad and a couple other guys at the birthday party. Yeah. While I was cooking over the grill, and we were talking about, the cost of living being high and how much it costs, in terms of vacation and stuff like that. And I don't know, it may have been my dad. I think it might have been somebody else. I think it was him that said, that's why, you just gotta, aim to get rich, grind until you get the money, and then you go and travel the world. And I said, nah, I can't live that way. I said, we've learned when we didn't have anything.
Yeah, we learned
to
how to
figure
travel.
out a way to try to make stuff happen and create memories, because once you actually get to a place, if
you ever get there, you don't even know if you're going to get there.
If you even get to a space, and the thing is that some people, and I got to make sure I stay on track, but some people never truly meet a space of satisfaction. Mm-hmm. Like, they become financially successful. Mm-hmm. And because whatever method or way you got to that space, now you're looking at the next progression. And so now you look up, and even though you've got no money that you want, you still never took advantage of the time. So your theory still didn't happen.
It's Click, the movie.
Yeah, but
that movie has such a lesson in it.
Absolutely. You get this window of trying to speed past the tough stuff to get to where you want, and it's gone.
Yeah, the time is done.
It's gone. I told my dad at the thing. I said, look at all your kids. All your kids is grown now.
Yeah.
We're all grown. You can never go back in time and throw a football with me as a child anymore. You can never go back and ride bikes with us as kids anymore, or go revisit those games that you weren't able to go to because you had to work. You'll never get that back.
Yeah.
So the reality is like, I think as a parent, it's more important to, we have a responsibility to still provide, and there's, we got to try to find that balance where I'm trying to do purposeful things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I have to find this balance where I'm able to still capitalize on these moments.
Yeah.
So while I might be grinding and trying to build wealth and create generational wealth and stuff like that, I still have to figure out how I can still take advantage of that time. And sometimes I get that when I'm walking in the door. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But first thing Asher says with his athletic behind,
you want to catch
the ball? You want and
yeah.
And what do? You say I'm tired today.
Yeah.
Or do you say I got you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's where we balance each other out well, because I'm always thinking about the memories beyond money. We'll figure out the money. We'll figure out.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is have this, because it's very easy, especially as the one providing. Like, if I'll never have enough. We have so many kids. I don't know, like regularly.
Yeah.
To try to do anything. That's why when I started saying, well, how much would it cost for us to fly somewhere, all of us? And I was like, all right, so now I have a figure in my head around about what it could be. And then that one summer, it was like, let's just do little stuff. And we was like, all right, Philly, Chicago. We went to like 4 places that year.
Mm-hmm.
But it really takes intentionality. But that probably would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff would have never happened but God made me a dreamer, literally and figuratively, maybe is the word.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't recognize it. It was spoken over me, and I didn't recognize what it was until recently. Like, no, I dream about things, places to be, things to do, what I want to, And because of that, I think we balance each other out very well. So you, maybe when we first started, didn't really have the concept of it because that wasn't a part of your life. And even if it wasn't that much a part of mine, God allowed me to dream. And then we started to do it.
Yep.
And you see how things go around, We start to do it because you love me.
Yep.
All right. My wife wants to go on vacation with the kids.
Then I start appreciating the vacation.
And then you start saying, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
And then you start being like, well, where are we going then?
Mm-hmm.
And it became a circle, of a thing. I'm still looking at stuff for November. I'm really serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious about a vacation. I was like, if we ain't going to get it this summer, we need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Before this year is up.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make that happen.
And because seeing the kids grow up, I think that's the balance also, where you help me, because I start panicking because I dream. Because I dream, I start panicking, and time can be scary to me when I'm looking at them, and I'm just like, this ain't enough. It's not gonna be enough. We don't have enough time. And we're gonna, and I'm talking to God and stuff. And God is also very faithful in showing that He cares about that type of stuff too. And just trying to, like, I care. It's okay. And I asked Him, and He shows, and He provides. He makes a way, and I really do appreciate that. My mind will go so far sometimes, and that's where I need the balance of you being like, all right. Like, what do we need to do? Okay, well, how do we get there? And I recognize recently, like, I need to be able to organize my thoughts sometimes, because they be all over they be like...
That's why I can't keep up with you on Marco Polo.
You can't keep up with me about... On Asher's birthday, I was talking about the next birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you...
I was literally planning...
Yeah.
The next
it's
birthday...
technically the next 2 birthdays, because they're 2 weeks apart.
Yeah, I know exactly what I want to do for them, too.
Yeah.
It's just really just needing the space. I probably really need like a week to not think about nothing, but it's really hard, especially because they mentioning it now that they seen his birthday. But I appreciate those things that but in the meantime, it's like I see how we seen the post that talked about the importance of both parents.
Yeah.
And this is why, let me go all the way back. If you watched any of our other times, if anybody watched our other Let's Talks and stuff, this is why there's an importance to make sure there's a voice from both parents in the home.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be, but a man is supposed to only have the vision. The man is only supposed to have the purpose. Because if she's a dreamer, she's getting vision.
Mm-hmm.
What if that's not what your gift is?
Mm-hmm.
You will miss out on the stuff that you could experience and enjoy in life. And I really struggle with not when people don't want to enjoy their life. I really have a hard time with that. So
when they don't want to enjoy their life.
When it's like, well, no, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
For people who I don't know, I can be like, I can't do nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like to help people to fully enjoy their lives. And it's like, I think you really like this.
No, I agree.
Yeah. But
I agree that you do, and that's something I think we are kindred souls with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there ain't nothing that burns my buns from a man's perspective than watching, husbands not do their part.
Yeah.
In relationship, especially for the sake of work or ministry or even their own selfish gain. You're just forsaking and abandoning your family and your relationship when that's actually an opportunity to create beautiful things for you.
Yeah.
Like the memories that are created, the growth
you happy
that comes from it. And it ain't all beautiful. It ain't all pretty stuff in terms of your own development that comes from it, but the outcome is beautiful. It really is.
Things you find that you like them.
Yeah.
It's taken some time to get to the place to really understand, like what Joyce Meyer have been saying for years. God wants you to enjoy your life, all of your life, even stuff like getting stuck in traffic. We don't be thinking, we're like, what?
Yep.
But what if your favorite song comes on and it just makes you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Like my favorite song coming on, whatever that is at the time, or something that in the moment, it just brings joy.
Mm-hmm.
Who the frick wanna work, then die?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's being advocated for in this world.
Yeah.
Work, die.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time that you're able to retire and enjoy it, you're too old to enjoy it.
Yep.
These folks work, don't never call off. I ain't never call off. I was always there. Well, that's unfortunate for you. You ain't used none of your PTO, none of your sick time, none of your vacation time. I'm sad for you.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're gone, they're going to replace you.
Immediately.
Like you were nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. They ain't your former employer ain't reaching out to you saying how you doing.
Nope.
They don't care.
No, that's a rare case.
No, they have an objective that they have to accomplish as a business, and that's why you have to run your own life.
Yeah.
In a similar fashion, where I got to make sure I take care of me and those that are around me. Because
anybody gonna do it?
Yeah.
Ain't gonna do it?
Yep.
Sometimes even in marriage, it takes time. Some stuff immediately means stuff to your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Other things, it comes with age and change and time. And you're like, oh, okay, now this is important. And then sometimes it just takes time to just know how much something matters to your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And you well, it don't seem like that big of a deal to me, but it really means something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to learn how to, if it's a place where it's a need, you can meet it. That don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That don't happen overnight. You gotta reprogram your own mind half the time. Everybody looking at the Notebook and stuff, which is a beautiful movie.
I hate that movie.
I love that movie, but it's not real.
I don't know what it is about. Probably the inconsistency with their relationship was what drove me crazy, and then they just died together.
Then they make up. That's all.
We talk over and over again. That's why that's ridiculous to me, because we talk about how much energy is.
But they were young. Do you remember the story? Their parents made them break up because she was rich and he was poor.
Yeah.
So their parents separated them, and he was writing letters, or she was writing letters, whatever. They was writing letters to each other, and their parents was confiscating the letters. Mm-hmm. So that really wasn't their fault the first time.
So they ain't had no toxic relationship.
No. No, they were being forced into, you marry this rich to do her. You marry this rich and to do dude.
Yeah, I remember that part.
And she did like him, but he wasn't the other dude. Mm-hmm. And so she was trying, but that's why it was a beautiful love story. Yeah. But there's so many parts that are missed in the day-to-day because they can't possibly never want to be boring and long. Mm-hmm. But to get to those, you can get to them points in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But
maybe I have a newfound respect for
you
The Notebook.
should. The Notebook is a beautiful movie. Yeah. We're going to have to watch it just so. No. Yeah, we do. The same way I be watching them Kung Fu movies with you.
I haven't made you watch a Kung Fu movie in a long time.
Greg.
The one I'm watching right now, I've been watching by myself.
But whose fault is that? You wait till I'm asleep.
No, I'm doing that intentionally so I don't have to deal with you saying, I don't have to.
But I be learning to appreciate it.
But you just still complaining about watching
No, the point is that I'm saying
you still bring up Enter the Dragon.
I like the movie though.
I know, but would you be bringing it up like
I'm allowed to? It's a movie that I normally know, but I do like it. Yeah. See how I found appreciation for it?
Wow, that's a weird way to show your appreciation.
I do, but I'm just saying the point is that I started watching stuff that I don't normally watch. I wouldn't normally choose.
That's true.
Because of how much you enjoy them.
That's real.
And then I was like, oh, this is cool. I actually like this. I'm looking forward to watching the next one.
So you won't,
So
you won't watch a Kung Fu movie tonight?
So if I'm awake, because a nigga is tired. Okay? If I'm awake, I'll do my best.
That's the same here. I don't got much.
You ain't gonna be awake.
I'm about out of strength.
Well, that might be the end.
Yeah. This is a dope talk.
This is a good conversation.
This is why we do it.
This
is why we have the conversations.
Okay. Were you saying this is how we do it?
I said this is why we do it.
I'm like, this is how we do it. That's what I was first thinking that you were saying. But you said this is why we do it. No, put your neck away. Put your neck away. I can't. I'm done.
Yeah. This is good.
Yeah. As always. Mm-hmm. As always.
Hopefully that wasn't too loud on the microphone.
If it was, they understood that it was a real slap.
I get it.
Amen.
Peace.
Hey, before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video.